Good morning. Hello. Welcome to Tea Rights. Hold on just 1 second. There we go. But hello. Welcome to Tea Rights. I'm Jax. I'm the fantasy writer, and I will be your host for the next couple of hours. You have stumbled upon Tea Rights. This is a writing hangout that's pretty chill. How it works is pretty simple. If you're on Blue Sky, that little link that you see beneath the text and above the picture of the cute bee, you'll want to click on that in order to join our chat. Now, our chat is open and it's pretty chill. You can say whatever you want in it, so long as it doesn't violate YouTube's TOS or make people uncomfortable. And I will read what you say out loud and respond to it. That's the social part of it. If you're shy, and many of us are, let's be real, then there is an icebreaker. I admit that I'm reusing Night Rights as icebreaker. If you were around for Night Rights the other night, then this will sound familiar to you, and just pretend that you have a new answer for it. The icebreaker for today is yet another writing question, as they often are. And it is simple. What are your writing goals for the spring? Camp Nano, for example? It is spring, spring is right around the corner. We have the daylight savings time coming up tonight over tomorrow. So apparently a chat rate says something. Hold on. Apparently it was filtered out. Cool. So don't forget to roll your clocks forwards, Americans. If you're not in America, wish I could be you. Anyway, to explain the rest of the stream, it goes like this. At 9 a.m., that is a little less than 30 minutes from now, we will start the first of our 3 word sprints. Yes, it's going to be 3 today, and I will explain why in just a moment. Word sprints are pretty straightforward. You will see a timer in the top left-hand corner of your screen that already says that we will be doing 20-minute sprints. They can really be anything that you want, but I like the 20-minute chunks myself. So during those 20 minutes, traditionally what you want to do is write as much as you can, and at the end of those 20 minutes, you will stop and tell us how much you wrote. However, in night rates and tea rates, we like to take things a little bit looser. You can do literally anything you want so long as it improves your life in some way. So that's writing, that's editing, that's doing any kind of art, even visual art with the paints and whatnot. You can also do self-improvement stuff like chilling and taking a nap or doing laundry. We have had people do all 3 things. Whatever you'd like to do, just spend those 20 minutes wisely. At the end, we'll talk about your progress. At the end of those 20 minutes, we do have 15-minute rest breaks. I will talk and you will get up and walk around because taking breaks is essential to creativity. So get up, walk around, do what you need to do. At the end of the 15 minutes, we will start in on our next 20-minute sprint, and we will do that a few times. Sherry came in and says good morning. Good morning, Sherry. Welcome. But yes, we will be doing 3 sprints because I am going back in the city today. It's not under a deadline at all. It is not the first Saturday of the month. Not that, well, actually, it is the first Saturday of the month, but there is no event hosted. I'm a little bit sad because there are no plans to continue hosting events. The event that I would normally go to on Saturday afternoons, because low turnout. I know it's shocking. It's New York City. Why is there low turnout? The truth of the matter is, here is a secret about New York City, my dudes. New York City is not much of a party place, or at least it's not a regular party place. You don't go. There are no clubs, except for the nightclub variety. So, you got dancing, You go out to some parties thrown by people, but you don't have like a regular let's hang out and write. I am actually a part of what used to be New York City, NYC NaNoWriMo, their NaNoWriMo group, and I'm still in it for some reason. They haven't kicked me out. But there have, so I joined like I think in 2022 or so, and in the time that I have been a part of this group, they have not done in-person meetings. I asked even, and they were like, well, people don't really care to host them. But, you know, if you want to do it, do it. But also, nobody went to them since, like, the start of the pandemic. I'm like, well, that's a bummer. So there were, like, write-ins, the first NaNoWriMo that I participated in when I moved to Queens. Just to clear things up, I have lived in the New York City area for about over a decade now. But I lived in various parts of the city and various parts of the metro area, often suburbs. But that first year I had moved into a borough, and I was like, I want to do stuff in the borough now that I have access to all the stuff. Turns out nobody does anything. Like, nobody does anything for free. I will say that, actually. They do things, but you pay money for them. And I'm like, this is such a New York thing. But anyway, I went to their write-ins that first year. And while their virtual write-ins were decently attended, by decently I'd say maybe there were consistently 5 people who would be in those virtual write-ins. The in-person ones were kind of funny. I went to one in a Panera Bread, and it was officially set up, like, it was set up by the MLs and everything. They were like, go to this Panera Bread, and we will sit and write together. And I was like, bet, I'm going to that Panera Bread. So I hiked all the way over to Astoria, went into this Panera Bread, and sat there for 2 hours, and nobody was there. Like, nobody, not even, like, there weren't even strangers with laptops at this Panera Bread. There was, like, just people, regular people going into the Panera Bread for Panera Bread reasons, meaning, you know, mediocre food and watery coffee. And, nobody came in. And I think it was like in the last half an hour, like I had called my ex at that point, my then boyfriend at that point. I was like, yeah, nobody's here. Do you want to pick me up and we can do stuff? And he's like, cool. So he, like, finally came in at like an hour into this event, and finally somebody showed up, and it was like they weren't even writing. It was like, oh god, they weren't in ML or anything. It's like, what? So that is my story for how New York City doesn't really do anything. Shockingly, you would think so, given how many people there are and how active the city is. But there are classes you can pay for. There are clubs that you pay cover fees for. There are D&D groups that you pay for. It's like all the stuff you pay for, and there's nothing for free, and there's not really, like, people just coming together and hanging out just for the sake of it, you know? Like, well, actually, yeah, there is that, but like, there's no. Let me explain it like this. When I lived in Boston, which I lived for a couple of years to do my grad degree before moving to New York, there would be stuff everywhere. Like, there would be writing groups, there would be film viewing. Like, you would go to movie theaters with just randos who also were passionate about movie theaters. Like everything, single interesting that you could possibly think of. There was like just a generic group. Hey, let's hang out. There was a generic geek. We're all geeks. Let's go hang out at a bar kind of group. Uh, any kind of interesting that you can think of, Boston had it, and it was free. Uh, and it was so much fun. You could go out and meet people and hang out, and no strings attached. You just talked about the stuff that you were interested in and had a good time. In New York City, there's that, but it's everything's like $30 a pop for doing it. And I'm like, God damn it, guys. Anyway, it's not a social thing. I just the reason why I'm going into the city is not a social thing, except for the fact that I'm dragging one of my friends in for emotional support. But it's like adulting things that I need to do and have been putting off, and is probably going to be completely painless. But you ever have one of those adulting things where you're like, God, I don't want to do this, but I have to. It's necessary. I'm afraid that it'll cause a mess, but it probably won't. And you go in and it takes like 2 minutes to do, and you're like, why did I put this off? Yeah, it's one of those tasks. But anyway, back to the chat. Sherry says, it's been a long week, but I woke up looking forward to writing with the group this morning. Heck yeah. Welcome. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this too. I've been so busy this week, I haven't made much progress, but, or been very social either. But I am very much looking forward to sitting down and writing with you to. Sherry also says, I've had that before. Show up, we'll be there. Nope. Yeah, I even double checked the address and time. Same. Like, I've never been to this Panera Bread. I checked the address. I made sure it was the right Panera Bread. I RSVP'd and double checked that other people were RSVP'd. Like, nobody showed up except for that one person at the very end who was just kind of like there to do art. Not that I am judging that. Like, you absolutely can do whatever you want during a writing group. I remember running them in college, and there would be people who would come in and they would not be writing for sure. They would be knitting, they would be doing homework, they would be doing whatever, and it was all good. But you know, it's like it's kind of funny how little people really wanted this writing group to happen in that Panera Bread. So yeah, that is my story. I do miss the Bostonian writing group. I hope they're doing well. I miss writing groups in general, man. Like, I know a lot of it is probably the pandemic. Like, I admit I didn't really go to too many writing groups beforehand, because back before the pandemic, I was living in the suburbs, and the unfortunate thing about the suburbs of New York City is that it's kind of funny. Once you get past the Bronx, basically, uh, the entirety of the New York metro area turns into car land. So all of a sudden, like, yeah, like south of the Bronx, like the southern tip of the southern half of the Bronx downwards, you have amazing public transportation. It's 24/7. Everybody takes buses and the subway, mostly the subway, and barely anybody owns a car, and it's all good. But once you get above the Bronx, all of a sudden, like, you still have buses, and they're good buses, to be honest with you. But nobody takes public transportation. Everybody drives, and consequently, they'll stick all their events out in like the middle of nowhere in Westchester, and it's like this one library that hilariously is the only one that's not on a bus route, And they're like, good luck, bitch. Yeah, I don't actually drive. Um, so I haven't driven since I was like in my early 20s. Well, haven't driven regularly. X tried to get me to learn, and I was starting to learn. I was starting to get eager about learning because I had gotten my first car, though it was mostly his. Um, but I try not to drive because I'm actually terrified of it. It is the one thing that, well, actually, it is one of two things that I absolutely 100% am actually afraid of doing. The other thing is standing outside in a thunderstorm. Just fun facts about me. But I do not like cars. I don't like, or I mean, I like cars are okay if somebody else is driving, but even then, like, I get car sick, so like I can't do them for long periods. But behind the wheel, I'm just so fucking terrified. I hate it. It probably doesn't help that people are absolutely crazy when driving around here, as you can expect. But it is kind of harrowing in some places to drive around in the New York metro area. Taisha walked in. Taisha says good morning, and I say good morning back, but also good luck with your pie. I'm also glad that you're popping in here and there. Sherry says, LOL, I visited New York City once. I wouldn't drive in it if I lived there. No point in it, right? Yeah, that is also the other thing. Like, it is hella expensive to park a car anywhere in New York City. It's either you're uh, fighting to find the one free parking space in New York City, or you're paying out the wazoo for meter fees, you're paying for passes, you're paying for garage space, like whatever it is just so difficult to keep a car. And honestly, like with the public transportation and the fact that you have such ready access to taxis, you have no reason to drive and own a car unless you actually do one of those taxis. So, yeah, don't. It's kind of pointless. That having been said, X had us keep our car in New York City because he had to drive to things. Though all those things were in the city, I'm like, looking back, I'm pretty sure he was just lazy. But anyway, uh, Taisha says I actually really don't like driving. It's why I work from home full time. See, that is also absolutely work from home is such a boon. But also, I have to applaud you too because you live out in Colorado. I was under the impression that Colorado, it's like you have to kind of drive. But high five also for minimizing your need for driving out in places that are not as public transportation friendly as New York City because like cars are also strain on the environment, guys. Like, this country really does need to up its public transportation game and just walkability game. So, like, anything to encourage that too. But also, hell yeah, working from home. Sherry says good morning to Taisha, and I second that. There's also the icebreaker for those of you who would like to break up my chatter and fun facts. I had already given mine. For those who walked in after, this is actually a recycled question. Uh, on night rates, I had actually used this for night rates. I probably am not going to be. I'm going to try to come up with new questions for every single session, but now and then I'll just have like a question that's just super good that I use for one session. I'm like, I want to reuse this, so hope you guys don't mind if I do that. But this question is, what are your writing goals for spring? I had rambled a lot during my answer for night rides because I was very tired. But the long and short of it is I am going to continue working on the Nameless song. Hopefully we are currently at a third of the way in. Hopefully I'll get to 2/3. I have been kind of playing around with the idea of using Camp Nano to push forward. And for those of you who are not familiar with Camp Nano, if you're familiar with NaNoWriMo, if you're not, here's a quick definition. NaNoWriMo was an event. Actually, it still exists. It's just that the organization that quote unquote ran it no longer does. But it is held every November. And the idea is that you have the 30 days of November to write 50,000 words. And the idea is that 50,000 is the threshold for writing a novel. So you are writing a novel in 30 days. It got so popular that there were offshoots. So Camp Nano is an event that's held every April and July. And it's very similar, but there are tweaks. For example, in Camp Nano, you are encouraged to set your own goals. So if you only want to write 10,000 words, for example, you can just have a 10,000 word Camp Nano run. Totally a-okay. So Taisha says working from home full time helps with not needing to drive so much. Public transport, I can read, definitely. Working from home full time helps with not needing to drive so much. Public transit around my place isn't great, but even my husband managed to take the bus to Denver daily. That is really cool, actually. Also, Denver is such a cool city, so I am envious that that's just a bus ride away. But that is really cool that you both make an effort to use public transportation and avoid the absolute bane that is cars. But yeah. But back into the writing goals things. So now that I've explained NaNoWriMo and Camp NaNoWriMo to you, I am thinking about doing a kind of Camp Nano. I don't know how consistent I'll be with it because spring tends to be the busiest season that we've got at work. And in fact, yesterday was a team meeting, and my supervisor was like, "Yeah, April itself is going to be the worst. Is going to be the worst for our workload." And I'm like, "Well, okay." So we're gonna see how this goes, how this plays out. My goal, though, is to be consistent as possible. So every single day, at least 500 words on the Nameless song through spring. And we'll see if we can get to the 2/3 mark. If not, oopsie doodle. But I do want to finish this book, this draft, by the end of summer. And then we will move on. But those are goals for fall. So we'll see. In the meantime, I am also going to be picking away at plans for Bohemia because I have decided I am going to do that for NaNoWriMo. Or First Draft Fall. I am actually going to have a first draft for First Draft Fall, so we'll see. It's going to be exciting. But yes. Sherry says, I'm working on my dragon book through the spring. My hope is to finish it by the end of summer break. I'm a teacher. Ah! That's going to be so relaxing, having all summer to basically write as much as you like. I assume anyway, unless you're the kind of teacher that also picks up summer jobs. I know that a lot of the teachers, at least in my country, have to do that. And it's a shame. Because teachers are such we don't treat them well here. We don't treat any profession well, but especially teachers. Like, God damn, they have to they're responsible for not only our children, but like 30 other 30 other kids at once, and we pay them like barely above minimum wage. That's bullshit. Anyway, Sherry also says, I can't do NaNoWriMo in November. November is too busy as teacher. Well, understandable, 100%. I won't ask too many personal questions, but I'm sure that if you're teaching older kids, that is like midterm season, right? So, like, what level do you teach? And is that why? Taisha says, for me, I'm going to finish my editing debut hopefully later this month and return to querying. Good luck with both of those, especially querying. She also says, I'm actually changing jobs, so it's a bit busy right now, but seeing if I can take some time off between then and use it for more book time. Absolutely. I do like that period, like when you land a job and it's the first couple months, so you're just training. God, it's so productive. Like, it's so relaxing. Like, I do miss those periods. Back when I had more time. Let's see. Sherry says, it is a shame I have higher degrees, so I get more than many. Which is excellent. 100%. Tasha says, completely agreed on the teachers. My husband is an educator professor. Educators need so much more support. Absolutely. Like, it's so interesting how, like, not to get super political, especially when we only have 3 more minutes before we start our first sprint, but it's so fascinating how this country is so obsessed with kids, yet they offer no support whatsoever. It's sort of like, oh, think of the children, let's protect them, and we love them so much, we care about their well being, blah, 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 blah. And yet, there's no social support for families. There's no. Teachers get paid and treated like shit. uh, we'll rip out like things. We'll gut things like SNAP and WIC to the stuff that feeds the children. There's no free daycare that's universal. No free health care. Nothing like that. Like, and also on top of that, like, we're not even. Some states are outlawing abortion, so it's sort of like you're forced to go through the entire process of birth, and then you're basically popping out a baby. There's no support for if you want to. There's no support if you want to keep the child, but can't afford to do so. It's like it's so fucking weird when you think about it. Anyway, uh, Sherry says, I have a unique position. I work for the public school district and am counted as a normal teacher, but I work in a children's shelter with kids in foster care. I teach K through 6th grade. That is so cool. I have to step away for my top of the hour morning routine, but I'll be back by the end of the first sprint and totally agree to read children. Oh, I'm sure that you know firsthand, especially considering that you work right there and you're very hands-on with all the stuff that I was just talking about. Uh, I wish there was more for you, man. I really do. Taisha says, "Wow, that is so incredibly challenging working in the foster care system. Good luck. Good for you. Very important work. 100%. Like, I respect the fuck out of that." So it is 9 a.m. So, let's prepare for our first sprint. Shake out those wrists. Crack those fingers. If you want to toss in what you're working on in the chat, I will do a quick read of that. But in the meantime, back straight in your chair. Deep breath in. Let it out through your mouth. One more time. And let it out through your mouth. 20 minutes are on that first clock. Get ready, get set, and here we go. Alright, that is the first sprint. How did we do? I had only gotten 297 words, but that's not bad for a warm-up. 297, and I did a little bit of looking because I'm preparing for going out as well. So we'll see also how much I get done. First order of business, I am like, you might hear me like running around a little bit in the background just because I am actually going to be focusing as much as possible on sprinting here, just because I am so behind with writing. Like, I've been working on this one. Well, actually, no. Let's see. No, actually, yeah, it's been a couple of weeks so far since I started this chapter, and it's been. I mean, it did go through a rewrite. I have the original first scene, which was 1639 words right in front of me as well. But it wasn't working, so I started over again. And now this is still working, but it's like it's slow going. There's a lot that's going to be happening in this chapter, but it's a lot of slow bits. So a lot of conversations, a lot of description, a lot of world building. So it's probably going to take me another week or so to get through it. I want to focus on it as much as possible, though. Tasha says, good job with 297 words. I edited a few pages trying to make sure I'm consistently portraying telepathy in my book. That is totally cool. Hell yeah to getting those edits and consistency bits down. Also, I want to say that you are absolutely free to work on your pie as well. As I've mentioned, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, but word sprints are very loosely defined here. Traditionally, they are for writing words, or editing, but I really do not mind if you do anything else during those word sprints. Productivity is productivity in these runs. I have a regular who just basically does laundry and chills and counts the chilling as like self-improvement, and I'm like, cool, that is it. I agree with this. So yeah, absolutely. uh Sherry says, I have coffee brewing and laundry started and morning chores started. I'm a sprint behind. Or you spent that sprint very well, and that is very excellent progress. Jim has walked in. Jim says, morning, it's Jim. Been doing some more editing and starting a new scene. First off, welcome. Hello, and also heck yes to more editing and new scenes. I'm wishing you the best of luck with the scenes, and hopefully these sprints will help you out with that. Feel free to talk a little bit about what this new scene is about. We would be delighted to chat with you about story stuff. Sherry says I have to go back and double check my spells and abilities too, Taisha. Yeah, I have heard that. I've heard some people like make a Bible for their books, like a kind of like a series Bible that you have for television shows, but for that and style guides too. Style guides is a standard thing actually, but it's normally done by editors. But just Bibles, style guides, that kind of thing. I'm like, that is such a good idea. I wish I could be that organized. And instead, my Bible, quote unquote, is just like a handful of documents and a whole bunch of threads out there in the ether. But the point of me saying this is editing for consistency. Those kinds of things might help? Question mark. But if not, I do wish you the best of luck with editing for consistency, because that is the most annoying type of editing, in my opinion. That and trying to trim things down. Sherry and Taisha say hello to Jim. Tesha says, yes, pie will be coming. We'll be doing apple pie for my very first effort, but we'll need to be making a trip to the grocery store first. Very action-packed day. Totally understandable, but also, hell yeah, apple pie is such a fun one to make. Like, there's so many ways that you can do it. Also, so many ways that they can be a little bit of a challenge. I do apple pies every year whenever it's autumn because apple season, and also somehow I end up with like bushels of apples, and it's like, where did all these apples come from? But yeah, it's so delicious when you do it homemade too. So I'm very excited for you. Have a lot of fun with that, and may the apples be very tasty. Sherry says, I have a world Bible for my saga because after 2 novels, I needed a better way to keep track of things. See, that is an excellent idea. I definitely need to start my own for sure. But, yeah, I can understand that, especially if you've actually published those novels. Or actually finished them. They're done. They're cooling. They're shareable. But 100% like when you're 2 novels deep, you are just 2 novels deep or you are very deep into a world. So you probably have so much world building, and it must be so nice too. Like I'm still working on my debut, but this is not the first world that I've built. But the point is that I've never actually finished a novel with any of the worlds that I've built. And the problem with that is until you finish something and put it out in the world, it's so flexible. So I've never had that feeling where I've put something out into the world and I'm like, yes, this bit of world building, it's set in stone, so I can't go back and change it. I need to like put it down somewhere and ensure that this is consistently canon. But and I feel like that's also part of the reason why I'm so slow at this, because like I get so distracted just world building and never moving on. But it would be so nice to finish and just sort of be like, okay, now I can write the next world, the next book in this world. So fingers crossed someday. But 100% also. Do you also post your Bible anywhere? Because I love it whenever writers do that, and I'm myself am kind of considering doing that at some point. But it's so interesting reading through somebody else's work, you know, or reading through somebody else's world building. Sherry says you can do it. Thank you. And same to you with editing for sure. I have to admit that I might use part of the next sprint making myself some breakfast. I'm like plotting out the rest of my day too, because it is the city, so there are plenty of places to eat, but it's sort of like I want to get directly to where I need to go and get this over and done with. But let's see. Oh, sorry for it kind of going quiet there. I'm just like still plotting things out. Slowly but surely, we are getting to what we need to do. Anyway, I am a little bit excited about a day out in the city. Like, I'm always excited about days out in the city. It's just like, as much I know that I've mentioned that New York City is weird in the fact that there's not much going on that's for free. Like, for those of you who came in a little bit later, the story goes that there are no free writing groups, or there are no consistent writing groups that are for free out in the city, which is super weird to me. I'd imagine that it's sort of like the writing groups that do happen are just like close friends and they're not well advertised or anything like that. Which is sad because it's difficult to meet new writing fans out there. But it is there's always something interesting going on that you can do on your own still. Like, I do like walking around, touring, grabbing a bite to eat at any of the fine locations. The plan for today is do the errand, do errand part 1, then errand part 2, because it is a 2-part errand, and then afterwards, my friend, who I'm hoping is still up for serving as emotional support, and I are going to go and find a nice vegan place to sit down and write for a while. I still mourn the loss of the best vegan place I've ever been to, which was Plant Junkie down in the very southern tip of Manhattan. But they had closed up shop because even if you're amazing, you're well reviewed, nothing can beat rent prices, and that is the downside of the city. Like, all the everything costs money, and everything costs a lot of money. That is the big downside of the city. But there are still excellent vegan places. It is a paradise for everything that you could ever want, so long as you have money. That is the main message of New York City, and I do apologize for this. There we go. Sorry if you heard any sirens in the background. I do live down the hill from a fire station, so you will... It's kind of weird that you haven't heard it all that often during morning streams. During night streams, I would have to apologize maybe once a month for shenanigans out there. But Saturday mornings, I guess people are just super chill and they don't set things on fire. They don't set their kitchens on fire until later on in the morning. I kid. We're all cool here, kind of. But anyway. But yeah. I mean, I don't mean to be frazzled. 30-second call on our next sprint. So 30 seconds to our next sprint. I don't mean to be frazzled for this first break. I know that I say that I'm going to be talking consistently, but some days, you know, you just kind of have to give your mouth a rest and just sort of take the conversation where it goes. But I am excited about going out, so I might do a little bit of the first sprint, just like getting dressed, getting breakfast, getting ready, that kind of thing. So only a few more seconds to the next sprint, so if you're not at your docks, get to your docks. And here we are, 20 minutes on the clock. Good luck. All right. That is the second of our 3 sprints for today. How did we do? I got fully dressed and I had breakfast and also, excuse me. And consequently, I only did 146 words. I'm kind of hoping that the next and final sprint will be a little bit more productive than this. Again, it's kind of funny. Like, I do love these sprints for sure. I've gotten a lot of work done on other sprints where I didn't really have words. Apologies if I broke apart there. I got a lot of work done on these sprints where I didn't have too much to do afterwards. But for the past couple of sprints, I'd be like, okay, I have something to do afterwards. Now I'm completely distracted. I have to get ready for it, that kind of thing. It has been a busy life lately. It's been pretty hectic all in all, actually, between medical fun stuff and personal stuff. But I am kind of thinking, like, it's not going to be the entire time. Like, next weekend, I don't really have too much planned now that I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think. I swear there was something that I wanted to do next weekend, but it's just blanking on me right now. So, I don't know. Like, but honestly, I do need kind of like a little bit of a break. Um, I say this often, but I've been working pretty hard. I've been putting in a lot of overtime, not all of which they pay me for because apparently you can't take a sick day and overtime at the same time at my job, so that's fun. So I'd be like working 10-hour days or a little bit extra. I'd be have my computer idle until 10 o'clock. I'd be on call, and I'd go to turn in my hours, and they'd be like, "Well, you took out 8 hours, and you only claim 5 hours of overtime." So like the 8 hours negating. I'm like, I hate this job. But anyway, not to complain about work really, but I am making, or I did not take sick lately, and I did put in overtime, but like every single night since like Wednesday, I've been doing something else. So, well, Tuesday too, because like I do have my social events. I have night rights, I have D&D, and I have work. So it's a whole bunch of stuff. Uh, but I do like moments where I don't really have anything to do. There's no expectations whatsoever. I just go out and enjoy life a little bit, or I'm trying not to sleep in as often, but you know, sometimes you just need a day where you sit back, you relax, and you play a couple hours of video games and spend a whole bunch of time writing, and you go back and forth between those two things. But yes, let's see. Tasha says, this was actually before the sprint. She said, no worries, Jax. I've had to step away to clean spilled coffee on the stairs anyway. Life happens. Oof. It is very important to clean up that spilled coffee, especially if you have little ones around. So, excellent. And Tasha says, thanks for hosting this, and thanks as always for coming. Absolutely. Sherry says, nice. Tasha says, good job writing any words while also eating breakfast and getting dressed. Tasha says, Sherry says, 355 words for that sprint. Nice work. And nice work right back at you. That is a nice, healthy number for sure. But yeah. I feel like I just took a vacation too. Like, it was the end of January that I took my last vacation, but it kind of only sort of counts because I was with family and it was a very short break. I need like a full couple of days to just lie face down in a bed and not move. That's my ideal. I mean, I do like to travel too, but I've been working so hard these past couple of years and stressing myself out so much that sometimes you just kind of need to sit back and relax. It's like times like that whenever I understand people who go on cruises. Like, don't get me wrong, cruise ships are terrible for the environment, and cruise tourism is like the worst kind of tourism, to be honest with you. But I loved the one cruise that I did take. I will admit that. So in 2019, just before the pandemic, I played this game called Ingress. It's if you haven't heard of Ingress, it is basically Pokemon Go's older sci-fi sibling. I like to describe it as that, and I do mean that literally because they're both made by the same company. And Ingress came first, and it used Pokemon Go used a lot of resources that were originally from Ingress to build its map and its mechanics and so forth. So a lot of early Pokemon Go was just basically Ingress with Pokemon skin. But whereas Pokemon Go, I've noticed, it's social in a way, but it has a different kind of community. Uh, it's not as, or at least maybe it's just the ones that I've tried to join. They aren't as cohesive as Ingress communities. When you go to an Ingress community event, you are basically going and hanging out with friends, and a lot of them will treat you as if you've been hanging out with them forever. No matter whether or not you know their names, they will be like, hey, what's up? Welcome. And they come and let's go and destroy the resistance together. That's terrible, but our factions are the Enlightened and the Resistance, and the Enlightened is objectively better. um, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Although my ex was a resistant agent, so I'm allowed to be a little bit of a dick to resistant agents. But anyway, so it is a lot more. I think it's because Ingress is geared more towards adults. So when you go out to an Ingress event, it feels like you're going out with a group of adult friends who have known each other forever, and the vibe is just different. Whereas with Pogo, you're basically either a Pokemon fan or you have children, and it's just a completely different vibe. Like, you might not be there for yourself, or no offense, but a lot of Pokemon fans aren't very socially apt. Not saying that Ingress fans are that much better because we're all sci-fi nerds, but like, it's different. It is very different. And I do prefer Ingress. And the reason why I'm getting on this, I swear, there's a point to all of this. Tish says, edited a few more pages. I would like to say excellent work on the editing a few more pages. And Sherry says, oh no, we can't be friends. I played for the Resistance. Kidding. Totally cool. There are a lot of nice Resistance agents too. And to be honest with you, it really depends on where you live. Like, the it's like on the coastal regions, or at least the East Coast, every single Resistance faction I've been in, were like, it was definitely like a sci-fi fantasy nerd club, in a good way, because they're delightful, affable geeks, and I used to be like a part of a sci-fi fantasy club in college, so it's like that's my best comparison. But it's like that kind of vibe where everybody, you kind of expect everybody to go off somewhere and watch and binge watch Firefly. That's the kind of vibe that East Coast Resistance agents have. Whereas East Coast Enlighten, if you're out in the suburbs, they're car aggressors and they're going to a bar. But if they're city ingressors, they are like some of the wildest people you have ever hung out with. Like, I'm talking a lot of my friends in the Enlightened, uh, the East Coast Enlightened people would be like the kind of people who would definitely break into buildings for portals and pull shenanigans, and they are very chaotic, and it is just the funniest thing. They are the most fun people I've ever met. But I bring up Ingress because they in 2019 they organized a cruise. So there's this concept called Mission Day. And missions are basically side quests, right? So you go and you complete objectives in certain points in the real world, and you earn a little medal on your profile. Well, basically, they did this for a cruise. So you went to a port, you did a quest or two, you got badges on your profile, then you went to the next port. It was so much fun though, because it was basically, they basically, of course this was the idea, the brainchild of an enlightened agent, because of course they would think this would be a great idea. And it was, don't get me wrong. But it was basically an excuse to go and get drunk on a ship with a bunch of other agents, and it was so much fun. Like, first off, as much as I'd hate to admit it, but it was nice to be like, I'm going on vacation. I'm not thinking about fucking anything. Like, I have my excursions planned out and paid for. I've got my food all set up. There's activities if I want to do them. I'm encouraged to just lie around and do jack shit all day, and it's just great. It was just great. But then add in the fact that you have a bunch of people who are there and they're nerdy and they want to party. Like, every night we would go up and like overfill one of the jacuzzis and call it Ingresser Soup. Just like there would be 30 of us in one jacuzzi. It was great. And it was just shenanigans all around, and it was so much fun. I miss it so much. But the pandemic basically put an end to that. There was no Mission Day at Sea 2, sadly. And we're only just getting back our anomalies, which are massive scale events where you go and visit different cities and participate in. It is basically a capture the flag battle with the other faction. So there's a lot of that going on. But we're just getting those back, and I'm hoping to start traveling on them soon. But basically, we got them back just as around the time that Dipshit did his dipshit stuff. If you don't know about dipshit stuff, just watch other streams or listen to my rants on Blue Sky. It's a very long story. But anyway, hopefully, like, in a couple of years, I'll be able to start traveling to anomalies again. But in the meantime, I just hang out whenever there's events around the city. And there are. Like, even if we're not really doing our first Saturday event, that's the Saturday event that usually happens. We go and we hang out, we do one activity together, and we spend the rest of the day drinking. It's great. But, yeah, we don't really do it that often anymore, because despite the fact that it's sort of like it's an event that's geared towards hanging out and just chilling with people, a lot of people just stopped coming, and it's sad. But, you know, what is what is. Sherry says, I agree, read the community of Ingress. I'm not active anymore, though. Understandable. It's definitely one of those things where Ingress really thrived on the health of its community. Like, the game itself is kind of eh, and like, it's not really enjoyable if you play it on your own, for sure. But few more seconds to the last sprint, so I will finish this up as fast as possible. But what made Ingress great is the community. So if without a reason to go out, you don't really have a reason to play. Tosha says, I don't know how I've never heard of Ingress before, looking into this in Colorado. Best of luck. I think there's a decent resistance knot in Denver, but it's like one of those side games that nobody really knew about before Pokemon Go. Sherry says, it's fun. The teams near me were very into it, though. Yep, that sounds like Ingress. There are some people who get super into it. Taisha says, I feel like this is when I learned about geocaching years ago. Basically, yeah, it's the same kind of vibe. But instead of like a physical geocache, your geocaches are on your phone, and you have to go and visit portals and stuff like that. It is fun, but it's more fun if you do it with people, for sure. So yeah, I definitely encourage people to check it out. But I can understand if it's sort of like, I checked it out and it was just not for me. But, give it a shot. Anyway, just over 18 minutes on the clock. I will shut up now. Good luck. right, that is our last sprint. How did we do? Uh, 339 words, so I am under today, unfortunately, but you know, I still made some progress, and I am basically ready. I just need to brush my teeth and wash my face, comb my hair, get things together, poke my friend again. He messaged me, and now I'm kind of waiting for a message back. Apparently, he's been writing without me, but I am going to be like, hey, let's do stuff anyway. Um. Anyway. While we're kind of like milling and wrapping things up, let me take a look at the calendar. So I outlined on Night Rights that it's going to be a busy week, and it still is. So, unfortunately, there's not going to be anything from now until the next Night Rights, which is March the 11th at 8:30 p.m. So if you're interested in something a little bit later, consider checking out Night Rights. Otherwise, unfortunately, this is going to be a week full of overtime for me. So I won't be able to do much at all until our next tea race, which is going to be the 14th. Taisha says a few more pages edited, so good enough, I'll take it. Absolutely, that is excellent progress, 100%. So I applaud that. Good job with editing. Do take that. Yes, the next tea rights will be guaranteed March 14th, 8:30 a.m. as usual. So to recap, March 11th for night rights, March 14th for tea rights. Other than that, Sherry says, well, the laundry is good, and I wrote 73 words and found out my bestie is going to her niece quinceañera today. Oh, that is going to be so much fun. I send my best regards to your bestie and her niece. I hope she has fun for sure. I hope you enjoy whatever pics that come out of that, unless that is an implicit invitation as a +1. Either way, that is very exciting. Cool. That is absolutely very, very exciting. Yeah. Other than that, I think there's not too much else that, I mean, I wish I could stay longer, for sure. I wish banks were open later than 1 p.m. Like, I checked, that's part of the reason why I'm kind of rushing a little bit, because I looked things up, and the banks I need to go to close at 1 p.m. And it's sort of like, what the fuck is this? Like, it is... can I just rant real quick? Because this is the one thing about adulting that really annoys me, and is the fact that everything that you need to do is you have to take time off for. Like, it's so weird that we have 9 to 5 jobs, right? A lot of us work in an office or we work from home, but we're expected to be working from 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m. And yet everything that we need to do is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. Now, for doctors, I kind of get it because, if you go to a private practice, that is, they're just one doctor, and it's sort of like understandable they need to have days off too. But, like, banks, like, have multiple tellers working for them, and yet they're still closed on Sundays and close early on Saturdays. It's like the one time most people will need a bank is on a weekday, Like, why? Just why? Sherry says they are going to be great picks. They're in Florida. Ooh, absolutely. The culture there is amazing, for sure. And also Florida, hell yeah. You guys have warmth, so it's going to be excellent. I'm sure it's going to be excellent weather to take pictures in and whatnot, or an excellent time to wear a ball gown, because Jesus Christ, like trying to wear a ball gown in anything but the perfect weather sucks so bad. So 100%. Sherry says, I'll be back next Saturday. I'm going to keep writing. Absolutely. And totally agree. I hate that there aren't more flexible hour situations, right? Obviously, as a teacher, I have set hours that can't change, right? Like, you definitely cannot leave school grounds, unfortunately. You cannot leave your work grounds, unfortunately. Like, it 100% there needs to be more flexibility in general. Like, the bank that I'm actually leaving, I had chosen it because a lot of branches are open on Sundays. Well, that and it was the closest one to my new apartment. But like, it's gone so downhill. They don't even offer Sunday hours anymore. It's like you are just fucked if you need a bank these days. Just period, and it sucks so bad. But anyway, I will should probably not dilly dally too much longer. Like, I still have a couple more hours, but still. So I'm going to wrap up here, and uh, Sherry says we did the whole distance learning work from home thing. That type of teaching doesn't work for most students. Absolutely. Like, it's just more distractions for them. I'd hate to say it, so I agree. Like, normally I'm all for doing work from home and trying to stay home as much as possible because COVID sucks and COVID has never gone away. But in the case of students, you do need to socialize. You need to go out, and you can't really learn without proper supervision and away from devices. That is my boomer take. My only boomer take, really. Taisha says, yeah, hard with my work schedule too. I get most of my writing editing done late at night or very early. Glad you can find ways to fit it in, even with constrained work schedules. For sure. For sure. Um, and also, yes, also a late night person, but I'm trying not to be these days because sleep schedule needs fixing. Anyway, I am going to stop messing around and I will end the stream here. Thank you all for coming. As always, it is so much fun to host these, and thank you for dragging me out of bed every Saturday to hang out and be productive. It's a great way to start my day, and it's great to hang out with you chill people too. So for sure, thank you all for coming. Love y'all. Taisha, good luck with the pie, and Sherry, good luck with more writing. And if Jim's still around, good luck with editing as well. But all in all, even if you aren't the people listed, I wish you the best of luck on whatever you're doing today on this fine Saturday. Uh, and until we next speak, don't forget to take care of yourselves, drink plenty of water, know that you're loved and that I love you, and I will see you later. You're very welcome, Taisha. And I second the happy writing, everybody. Good day, farewell, and see you later.